Hello viewers, I'm Keerti Bhave. Welcome to the session on hot dipping. After going through this video, you will be able to state the principle of hot dipping and explain the process of hot dipping of metallic surface like galvanizing and tinning. Let us begin with the definition of hot dipping. Hot dipping is a technique used to coat a metallic surface with another metal by simply immersing the base metal into a bath of molten metal. That is, the metal which is going to be coated. Why do you carry out hot dipping? Metallic surfaces are coated with adherent coatings to protect against corrosion and sometimes to alter certain functional properties like wear resistance, electrical conductivity, etc. Now just take a pause and think. If a metal has to be coated, then what should be the criteria for the selection of a coating metal? What kind of surfaces should be coated by the hot dipping process? Let us find the answers to it. Hot dipping is a technique used to coat large surfaces like sheets, etc. When this process is used, it has to be remembered that the base metal should have higher melting point as compared to the melting point of the coating metal. Like in case of galvanizing, where the base metal is iron or steel, which has a very high melting point in the range of 1200 to 1500 Celsius as compared to the coating metal which is zinc, which has a melting point of 419 degrees Celsius. And then you have tinning, where the base metal is iron with very high melting point and the coating metal is tin with a melting point of 232 degrees Celsius, which is much less. Why the coating metal is selected? It is important to remember that the melting point of the coating metal is much lower, else it causes problems like change in the mechanical properties of the base metal and it causes alloying of the coating with the base metal. Now we begin with galvanizing. Galvanizing is a process of coating iron or steel with zinc by the hot dipping technique. The base metal is iron or steel which has a melting point of 1530 degrees Celsius to 1200 degrees Celsius depending upon the alloy. And the coating metal is zinc which has a melting point of 419 degrees Celsius, which is much lower. This is sacrificial protection to the base. That is, iron is protected at the cost of zinc. The effective pH for protection is 6.0 to 12.5. Now, as iron is coated with zinc, in between the two layers, there are different layers of alloys of iron and zinc with some different compositions. Like any other coating process, as we are carrying out galvanizing, the surface has to be prepared, that is, the surface has to be cleaned. The sheet of iron which has to be galvanized is degreased, that is, it is rinsed with dilute alkali to remove any kind of oil or grease or any other foreign particles sticking to the surface. This is followed by rinsing with water, and then it is pickled, that is, it is rinsed with dilute sulfuric acid to remove any kind of compounds which are formed on the metallic surface. The sheet is again rinsed with water and treated with 5% hydrofluoric acid and stored under water to prevent oxidation. Now the sheet is ready for galvanizing. Let us see the process of galvanizing. The prepared sheet is dipped into a bath of zinc ammonium chloride solution. It is then tried with hot air and then dipped into a bath of molten zinc, which is maintained at a temperature of 425 degrees Celsius to 460 degrees Celsius, little higher than the melting point of zinc, which is 419 degrees Celsius. The sheet then is removed from the bath of zinc and annealed at a temperature of 650 degrees Celsius and cooled slowly. So now you have a galvanized sheet of steel. What are the applications of galvanizing? Galvanized sheets are used for protecting articles such as roofing sheets, pipes, wires, wire cloth, etc. against corrosion. Zinc coatings are also effective on iron and steel articles which are exposed to seawater. Now there is a word of caution here. Zinc-coated galvanized sheets should not be used for making containers to cook food or store food. This is because zinc is highly reactive and it reacts with acids present in the food, thus making it unsuitable for human consumption. Now we will try to understand the process of tinning. Tinning is a process of coating iron or steel with tin by the hot dipping technique. Here, the base metal is iron or steel, which has a melting point of 1530 degrees Celsius to 1200 degrees Celsius, depending upon the alloy which is being used, and the coating metal is tin, which has a melting point much lower than this, which is 232 degrees Celsius. It is a cathodic coating and is effective pH for protection is 3.0 to 10.0. Like any other process of coating, here too the surface has to be prepared, that is, the surface has to be cleaned. So the steel sheet or the iron sheet which has to be tinned is degreased, that is, rinsed with dilute alkali, followed by rinsing with water, and then it is pickled, that is, it is rinsed with dilute sulfuric acid to remove any kind of compounds which are sticking to the metallic surface. It is again rinsed with water. And now the iron or steel sheet is prepared or ready for tinning. The prepared sheet is dipped into a bath containing zinc chloride solution, and then it is dipped into another bath where molten tin is maintained at a temperature of 300 degrees Celsius to 340 degrees Celsius. The sheet then is removed and dipped in another bath which has molten tin maintained at a temperature of 238 degrees Celsius to 243 degrees Celsius. Then it is removed and passed through rollers in palm oil to remove any excess of metal, and the palm oil is removed by rubbing it with sawdust, and then the sheet is polished. And now we have a tinned sheet of iron. What are the applications of tinning? Tinning is widely used for coating steel, brass, copper sheets, etc. Used for making containers to cook food or store food. If used for storage of food material, the cans are lacquered from inside to prevent blackening or bleaching. Copper wires are tinned to facilitate soldering. Let us compare the two processes, galvanizing and tinning. Galvanizing is coating of iron or steel with zinc by hot dipping process, while tinning is coating of iron or steel with tin by the hot dipping process. Galvanizing is anodic coating, while tinning is cathodic coating. In galvanizing, the melting point of zinc is 419 degrees Celsius, while the melting point of tin is 232 degrees Celsius. The operating temperature for galvanizing is 425 degrees Celsius to 460 degrees Celsius, while the operating temperature range for tinning is 238 degrees Celsius to 243 degrees Celsius. While galvanizing, annealing of the sheet is done, but for tinning, there is no annealing. Containers made from galvanized sheets are never used to store food, while containers made from tin sheets are used to store food. Let us revise the concept again. Hot dipping is a process used to coat large surfaces where dimensions are not very important or critical. Melting point of the base metal is much higher as compared to the melting point of coating metal. Like any other coating process, the surface is prepared first and then followed by dipping the sheet into a bath of the molten metal. I hope you have understood the concept of hot dipping. Thank you.